Each week, we welcome to our NfG stage one of our highly talented members or special guests with something designed to help you and your business. Our next guest has had perhaps the shortest career of anyone I know, with one job lasting for 5 days. Finding a true vocation usually takes people longer, but our guest soon got onto the right track and began helping support small businesses to utilize technology better, offering an end-to-end service, giving people not only the products, but also the support-oriented comfort blanket that we often need. He also has a passion for cybercrime, as in helping businesses avoid it, that is. Many businesses today have complex technology so woven through them that they could not function without it. But without various safeguards, it's easy to become exposed and not even know it. So with a talk entitled, "So You Think You Are Safe Online," and helping us answer the question, how can we protect ourselves and our business against cyber criminals? I bring to you Mark Feetham. Good morning, Mark.
Well, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction, Richard. I wasn't quite expecting that. Just start the old clock there as well. So yeah, I've been doing this for a little bit, over 20 years experience in IT and in the support area specifically. I think Richard has gone through the agenda, so I'm not going to waste your time by going through that again. How do I move the slide forward? There it is. Okay, so I wanted to start off with a thank you, basically. I've been told that watching PowerPoints is sometimes like your favorite trip to the favorite place, the dentist's. So I wanted to make it worth your while. If you stick it all the way till the end, you'll get a free guide to home working from one of my partners, which is a company called Atera. It's not security or IT focused. It's just about how you can make the best environment to inspire and get the work done. I'd also like to offer you the chance to win a copy of Microsoft 365. It's worth £79.99 and will give Microsoft Office and some other services to you plus 5 of your family members. So if you'd like to do that, hook up with me on LinkedIn and I'll enter you into the draw that will be conducted at the end of the day. So if anyone knows who this young chap is, he was around in the 5th century. He's called Sun Tzu. And he wrote a book called The Art of War. It's really, in this era, it's still actually worthwhile exploring. The biggest thing I wanted you to take away from this is, if you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you'll also suffer a defeat. And what I'm talking about here is cybercrime and being able to understand and know that there are people out there that are trying to scam you, trying to con you, trying to get beneath your business and undermine it. What I hear a lot, though, is these kinds of things from small business just won't happen to us. We're too small. They target the big guys, or, well, antivirus is completely enough. I'm happy with my McAfee subscription, or whatever it is. Or even my data is not important to hackers. No, it's not. But I bet it's important to you. And what would you do if you didn't have access to your data because someone's taking it away? Or our IT team has it covered. They may well have, but you need to ask that question. Do you have my back? Has our IT team got this sorted? And also remember, it's not all just about IT. These people use a myriad of different techniques to try and get beneath your business and undermine it. So let's start with who's actually hacking. First of all, it is organized crime, and it's actually now bigger than anything else out there in terms of crime. So it's not a 16-year-old spotty kid up in a bedroom that finds it lucky and funny to hack into the local school to change his grades. That's just not where it is. A hacker can earn approximately £80,000 a month on salary, not just through doing this. They work in criminal gangs and it is a salaried position once they've proven themselves over a 3-month period. It's also about industrial espionage, stealing secrets, stealing recipes. One famous one that happened in recent years is that a capacitor recipe was stolen from an electronics manufacturer. It wasn't finished, so we ended up with a load of TVs that blew up, basically, because the companies that then used that stolen recipe hadn't considered that. There's also malicious insiders in businesses. They want to do something to disrupt the business. Perhaps they've left under bad terms. You've also got hacktivists. They do it because they can, and they've got a cause to go for. You've got people like ISIS as well, terrorists actually out there doing it. And finally, state actors. That building, the picture of the building, houses an organization called 61398, and that's China's cyber division for terrorism, basically, or state-sponsored acts of cybercrime. Why and what's the opportunity? Well, there aren't any guns involved in this kind of crime. You don't need to be a bank robber anymore, basically, to go and heist an organization for millions of pounds. They will lurk inside an organization and they'll wait. They'll look, they'll monitor, they'll see what's going on, and then they'll spring their attack. And you don't know how long they've been in there. It could be a few days, but actually it's normally more than 30 and up to 180 days that they've been inside your organization looking for a way to exploit you. Why? It's pretty easy. Most of the time it is money. They will either do things like ransom you, or they'll actually extort as well. They'll release information that you probably don't want to be made public knowledge if you don't pay up. They can also be hired. So they can be hired to discredit. They can be hired to spread malware. And through the spread of malware, they can create bigger networks that go and basically harvest more profit for them. We've mentioned espionage before, and we've mentioned the activism piece as well. For instance, a famous one, a gang are called Anonymous, and they decided to hack ISIS. So all these sorts of things happen out there as well. I've said this already, but cybercrime is now massively significant. It's so easy for people to get into. You can even now have something called ransomware as a service. You don't have to know anything about it. You just buy the service on something called the dark web and off you go. So it's pretty easy to set up. The attacks can come from pretty much anywhere. So be careful specifically of these ones. They come over voicemail, or voice phishing, as it's called. Someone will try and get information from you over the phone, through messaging, all the different types of messaging. It doesn't matter whether it's WhatsApp, SMS, Facebook. They will lurk inside there and trying to get you to do something from that vector. Documents as well. Microsoft a few years ago came up with this thing that says enable editing. You might see it when you open up a document from someone. That's because they were very conscious of the fact that documents were being used to scam people. So that's why you see that little banner now. Without enabling editing, it actually stops people running scripts and protects you. And of course, the web. It is pretty common for people to do scripts inside bad websites that then get you owned. The how of it is there are different mechanisms that they can try and attack you. I'll go through some of these in detail instead. And just a word of caution, the hacker doesn't look like the guy in the middle of the photo wearing the anonymous mask or the Guy Fawkes masks. It looks like Jenny up there. That's Jenny Radcliffe. She's a world famous people hacker, is what she goes by. Very successful at getting information out of people or getting into buildings that she shouldn't do. That's what they look like. They look like you and me. So let's go through some of them. Phishing. Phishing is probably the largest thing that's happening right now. Someone pretends to be a trustworthy source of yours and tries to gain your personal information. They're coming at you over email or text messaging. So one of the recent ones has been Royal Mail UK arrives as a text message saying you missed a parcel delivery. No, you haven't. You weren't expecting one, but you still go and click on that link, don't you? Just in case you've missed a parcel. Well, yeah, of course you haven't, but it's a way of them saying, sign in, please, and they get your credentials from you, and then they go and steal. Or they've got your credentials, and they might even go and sell them, basically. There are lots of people that want to buy that information as well. So what can you do to defend against phishing? Well, the first one is engage your brain. You can look at the links in messages, and you can reveal their true destination. If you hover over it, it'll reveal what's going on in there. You only ever enter your details into a site that says HTTPS. The S stands for secure. If it doesn't say that, don't enter your details. Absolutely. The other thing to be aware of is mimicked sites. Something like Microsoft. Microsoft with an S on the end of it, Microsoft's. The brain won't necessarily see it straight away, but please do watch out for those sorts of spelling errors that might happen. You can learn to detect phishing emails. I'm going to send this out to you afterwards, so you've got a copy of that rather than talk all the way through it. But the other one is social engineering. And this is, again, how they'll do psychological impacting to try and get you to do something. So a few of the attacks I see always have an urgency to them. That you've got to do this now. I want you to do it. You must do it. If you don't do this, something terrible is going to happen. You just got to, again, think. They're trying to steal. They're trying to extract money most of the time. And they're doing a level of personal or human behavior, not with any malware or anything like that. The business email compromise is something that the phisher or those social engineers will then use. This is one that actually happened. Look at the difference here between the two companies. There's the attacking one. It's Araya Consulting. So they just added an S onto it, basically. So as we're running out of time, what I'm going to do is skip forward. Because I don't want to show you malware. Malware, you pretty much should know. If you don't know malware, please contact me straight away and we can get you set up with an antivirus. So things to stay safe. Use a strong password, actually a passphrase. So think of a small sentence or three or four words that you can string together. Don't just use a standard password anymore. Don't use the same password, use a password manager. So something like, I use one called Keeper. And the reason I use Keeper is because it will also keep me protected from knowing if my credentials have been stolen. So if something happens like that, I'll be alerted to it. The second one is to use two-factor authentication. This is where you have a secret, so it's your password, but you also have your device that contains a key that changes every 30 seconds. If you're not doing that on your on things like your email and your banking, just get it done. You really need to start using that. And if you want to check out if your email has been, if your passwords have been compromised, just have a look at, have I been pwned, have I been owned? Put in your email address and it will tell you. So that's the time that you really do need to go and change your passwords. Make a backup as well. It's not a question of if you're going to get hacked, it's a question of when. It's about 50% of small businesses that it's happening to at the moment. So do backup, do test those backups because hackers will try and get into those as well. And above all else, to avoid phishing and social engineering, engage your brain. Don't respond to those threats. Don't respond to those urgencies. Think about it, put a gap in between before you actually respond to it. So I was once told as well that if you haven't struck oil after 10 minutes, you should stop boring. So here's my end slide, and to say thank you very much once again with the LinkedIn link to contact me if you'd like to be entered into the draw for Microsoft 365 Family.